What's up, guys, and welcome back to the infamous project. Today we're going to be talking about aftermarket door panels, and it is going to be a little bit of a rant, so be prepared for that. And I'm also going to share with you guys a significant mistake that I made, and I might have messed up a door panel, brand new, and I want to make sure that it doesn't happen to you. So stay tuned and check out this video on aftermarket door panels. All right, guys, so you can see two door panels behind me. The gray one is a factory original door panel with the map bag kind of ripped off, which happens to many of them over the years. If you guys have watched my other videos, I have a very simple fix, provided that your map pockets aren't too far gone and completely ripped and torn and everything else. So be sure to check that one out. But if you guys are in the market for replacement door panel, you might be looking online, and I don't even know what brand of door panel this is. This actually came with a bunch of parts, and I was like, why not? I'm gonna try it out and see what it's like. Ultimately, I was kind of disappointed, or getting more and more disappointed as time went on fighting with this thing, and I'm gonna share with you guys exactly my thoughts and what happened with this aftermarket door panel. You guys can probably, based on the review and everything that I do, will be able to figure out which brand it is. I don't know if it's TMI, I don't know if 50 Resto or LMR has their own, or if it is the TMI one, I don't know if it's NPD, any of those, because I only ever really deal with OE door panels. This is my first experience with an aftermarket panel, so let's get into it. Here's some panels. Gray, factory, OEM, one of the aftermarket that I've already started and slash might have messed up. And here is one brand new, fresh out of the plastic. So even pulling this out of the bubble wrap, you guys have to be careful, because if you like yank on that plastic, these things are so flimsy. You can see just holding it like this, look at the flex, even on that back corner. That's just the weight of the panel, which is hardly anything, because this thing's like paper thin. And you know, I would get it or understand if this was an old original panel and it had water that had got into the cardboard area and softened up the cardboard and weakened it up. But look at this, you know, there's already a crease in here, and that was there before, you know, I picked the panel up and everything else. So that's not me. You know, like, see that one down there where there's water damage and the cardboard is torn? You know, I get it. I can understand why that would flex. But if we want to compare corner to corner, like, look at this. That's hardly even flexing on that corner. You know, this is a much more rigid panel, and this one isn't even perfect. I just kind of have this one for demonstration purposes on the difference. Again, if I do this, look at that. It wants to fold and just bend. So I'm not gonna, you know, wreck the panel, but that just goes to show the difference in the quality here. The next thing that you're gonna notice is, so this guy has no holes. So you gotta cut the holes out yourself, and I'm gonna get into that in a minute, but it does come with the proper map pockets, and I have to say, they look really nice. Map pockets are nice. This section, this insert doesn't look 100% factory. It's a little bit more sharp on the edges, I would say. This looks okay. Trim is okay. Rubber, I don't know about this angle. I don't know if I'm gonna have to trim these edges or what, but that is a difference, maybe just the way the rubber's cut. And so I was gonna do map pocket deletes, which you can see are right here. So you gotta take off the map pockets. And you're gonna notice that the little clips that are folded and bent are actually stapled down. And I'm like, huh, I wonder why they did that. Like, why did they invest money in the staples on these things? Because the factory ones, These guys are super rigid. And in fact, like even just using your finger on these, like your finger's gonna get sore if you're manually trying to bend these guys. And trust me, I've done it before. If you do 2 door panels and you're bending all these up manually, you guys are gonna know and feel the pain that I'm talking about. So usually you'll use like needle nose pliers or whatever and bend them all up straight. And you'll notice there's only one. Here, there's actually 2. And got my fancy little staple popper here that I got with my upholstery stapler. So let's just take a set of these staples out. Look at this. This is the flimsiest, like these wouldn't stay down if you wanted them to. Like maybe when they're installed on the door, the pressure of these guys pushing against your door would keep them down, but it, like, just again, the quality. Now, I already talked about how brittle this cardboard is. You know, you get brand new Christmas trees, right? Look at how thin that is. Like, the first time that someone goes to pull one of these panels off and doesn't use a panel popper, you are going to tear every single one of these holes, grommets, whatever, cutouts that's there. This plastic is stronger than this cardboard. So keep that in mind, guys. If you have aftermarket panels, make sure you get a panel popper and make sure you're getting underneath the bottom layer of this plastic, because otherwise you're going to be tearing out every single corner of this panel. One thing that is okay, I guess, these speed nuts on the speaker grills, you can notice here the speaker grill hole isn't even removed, and there's a bunch of this foam behind it. So keep in mind, if you're actually going to want to hear your stereo, you need to remove this. And you need to cut out the material behind it. Now, getting into the cutting, this is what, you know, it even happened to me, guys. So the first thing that you're going to think of is, okay, you see these templates and these holes here. They did a little bit of an outline right here on the armrest area of where you should cut, but they didn't do anything else. So there's nothing up here, there's nothing down there where your armrest goes to. And it's hard to cut through this stuff. I'm gonna admit, whatever sound deadening, foam, whatever they have going on there is pretty thick. So you would think just follow the contours of everything, right? That would be the easiest method. Well, let me tell you, up here, that's way too wide. And my result here, you know, and I followed the contour. It's no bigger than what this metal is, but, and it's like I knew it. I knew it while I was doing it, and so if you look here, I'm gonna be able to slide this guy up. Look at the hole that I have at the bottom there. So now I need to come up with a creative idea, maybe some goop, a piece of vinyl. Will you see it in the end? You probably won't, and I'll come up with a creative fix for it. I'll show you guys what I end up doing. I cut a piece of this, I'm gonna set it from behind, and I will use some black goop, and I'll glue it from behind, and hopefully you won't really notice the damage that I did. And this is going to be a potential issue for some of you guys out there. Call me reckless, call me, oh, I should have measured twice and cut once, but you know, it's the morning, I'm trying to get shit done, and sometimes shit happens. So the other thing that's really important when you're cutting this, because it's so thin, like I cannot even tell, like it just wants to tear. So if you do straight cut corners like this, and you know what I mean, you're liable to rip that, and there's really no nice way to, you can try, like if you know exactly where you're going, and maybe that's what they should do. They should actually give you a template that you can lay on the outside of the door panel like this, mark it out, and be able to cut it nice and straight. So that's the reality there. Again, how thin this vinyl is, I can't even explain. And For these, I can tell you, these matte pocket delete inserts, these are from LMR. They're not too bad, but same thing. These guys are super brittle, and you know, you got to staple them down, which I learned is the thing to do. That's pretty much all you can do. You can see I got my Christmas trees installed and everything else on this one, and I almost forgot to remove this. Otherwise, I'm not gonna, damn glue, not gonna be able to hear any of the sound coming out of the door speaker. All right, guys, see how flimsy these are? And there is only one per hole, like factory. It's not like the aftermarket LMR one here where there's two and they're narrower. But again, super flimsy. Like, you would never be able to pull this out like that on one of these, because these, whatever you want to call them, studs, metal tabs, are so rigid that you pretty much got to rip this guy right off. But again, matte pocket, you can see how it's bowing here, and you can see the quality of this cardboard versus these deletes. Look at this, it doesn't even want to, well, it's bending a little bit, but nothing compared to that guy that came on the panel. And this cardboard here, or it's almost like a particle board, it's much more rigid than that thing. So at least this is going to be sort of almost like an upgrade and give a little bit of added rigidity to this door panel. Like, honestly, if it were me, and next time, I would almost consider getting some particle board like this and maybe cutting a section out right here, or even like a whole piece, you know, once this is installed, that goes from here all the way down, maybe up here, and just kind of make it so that, and just glue it on. And what that would do is just kind of keep the panel straight, keep it from warping, bending, all those things in case that panel might need to come off. It'd probably help with sound as well. So that might be something to consider if I ever get involved with another set of these panels. One thing to mention, you can see there's holes here, and those holes are actually in case you have a 90 or earlier car, like on this guy right here. So you can put your insert in, and you can see this is the same style panel, same cheap material on the backside here, but in gray. And the inserts have been added, piece of sound deadening on the top. And yeah, guys, I don't know what to say, but there you have it. I did confirm you got to trim these rubbers about 1/2 inch back on the front side and the back side. And one other point that I wanted to mention is I really don't like this door lock bezel, or whatever you want to call it. It just looks weird with that ridge in there. It does not look factory, but I guess it's all they had, or they got a really good deal on it. Maybe they cut the cost down by, you know, a cent in order to make these by using those instead of one that looks like factory. But here you can see how nice and smooth the factory one is. There's no indent there. It's just nice, round, plain Jane, simple. So moving along with this door panel, you can see I got the inserts in, stapled all of those down. I did cut out the circle for the speaker, but note the vinyl is actually under here. So you guys are gonna have to make sure that you cut that out as well. Otherwise it's gonna be blocking your sound. And I didn't look this up, but it was sort of like I hadn't done upholstery work in a long time, and then it just all came back to me. I just cut an X here so that way, you know, don't need to worry about cutting a big gaping hole. And this should actually work really nice. So keep that in mind. And all of my cuts here and here, I did an X down here as well. So just enough to poke things through to get the hardware to fasten everything. And that is gonna be the technique, and probably should have been the technique from the beginning. I think just mentally I'd seen this panel and I'm like, oh yeah, no, I'll just go and cut that out. And you know, well, my mistake happened, but at least didn't do it on this one. So I'll get all this cut out here, and that way we can pull all our electronics through for the window switches and door locks, and we'll get that done, get this thing installed, and that'll be the end of it. So there's the silver lining. So there is a little bit of a review, my rant, my warning to you guys about these aftermarket panels. They just do not make stuff like the factory or OE quality, and I don't understand why. Like, if you're in production and you're sourcing materials, why not come up with a really good option? Because me, if these were really nice, I'd buy them. You know, it's going into my whole video on I don't want to have to sacrifice gray or red or blue panels to dye them and make them black, even though they might be mint. But if they're mint, they should stay their original color for that person that wants that color in their interior. So there you have it, guys. Hopefully you found this informative, helpful, whatever it is. And there you go. You can see a up that I did myself, and I'm kind of ashamed about it, but I needed to share it with you guys because I know, you know, if it could happen to me, it could happen to anybody. And I think that's the important lesson here to learn of today, and just how fragile and how delicate that these aftermarket panels are. So thanks for following along. We'll see you guys next time.